of Village Connections, which serves seniors in downtown Columbus. Katie White, welcome to the show, Katie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us about this village model of senior communities. It's popped up all over the country. What does it mean?
It is a group of individuals living within a certain boundary that pay an annual fee to have access to our volunteer services, our vetted service providers, and social events as well.
What kind of fee and what do they get for it?
For our village, it's $500 annually, and if that causes a financial constraint, there are some scholarships available. But it's unlimited services. Our biggest service is transportation, of course. We've talked about that a lot today. And minor home maintenance, helping move boxes, maybe putting together a new dresser. We do a lot of friendly visits, friendly calls, technology assistance, any service that you might think about. And if you live on your own, it might cause you some issues. But together with the help of your volunteer neighbors, it can enable you to stay in your home longer.
Is this a nonprofit organization?
It is a nonprofit, yes.
How was it established? How did it come about?
There are a couple hundred villages across the U.S., and there were some German village residents a couple years ago that heard about this and decided, let's come together and start a village in our neighborhood. And they also decided to serve Marion Village, Schumacher Place, Brewery District in downtown. So they went through, I think it was about a 2-year process of becoming a nonprofit, received funding from our county office on aging and our local COAAA. And we opened just over a year ago. So we've been providing services for over a year.
Does this sound familiar to you, Jana Leinert?
Yes, we've certainly heard of the village model and something we've done a little bit of research on. It's a wonderful model to really provide the type of services at that neighborhood level, and we love it.
What's the difference, Katie White, between just calling somebody up to get a fix-it guy over to do work for you versus having this?
I think what our members enjoy is the confidence that they know I've looked into each of our companies, I've vetted them, their employees have a background check, and then a lot of times our vetted providers also provide our seniors a discount. So we serve as that central office that they can call, and if a volunteer can do it, we'll send a volunteer, and if not, we send that vetted organization.
How many people are members now?
We have 49 members right now.
And range in age?
Oh, I would say...
Do you have to be a senior?
You have to be 50 and living within our neighborhood, but our average age is about a 74-year-old female.
I wanted to bring Gail in Clintonville into the conversation. Hi, Gail.
Hi. I would like to give a big shout-out to the Clintonville Resource Center. A few years ago, when I was 64 and I'm about to turn 65, and I was trying to figure out the ins and outs of applying for Medicare and Social Security and stuff like that. They were invaluable in helping me. And the Clintonville Resource Center, which is right on East Lakeview or on West Lakeview, and now they've got a new building on the north side, on the east side of High Street. It's the senior center. It's completely, a whole new building where all of the staff who assist seniors, and they put out a newsletter called the North Star, and they have a potluck once a month. They have, they have transportation for shopping groups, and they have, like I say, they have a Sunday breakfast due. And the thing is that none of this costs anything. And one of the other things besides helping me through the...
well, it costs people something. I mean, someone's paying for it.
But the CRC, it's probably, it's one of those places that gets funding from nonprofits. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Gail, I want to get some feedback from our guests about, what these kind of centers bring to the equation. Katie White?
Absolutely. And the great thing is Clintonville is starting a village as well. So the supportive nature of villages is that because you only serve a small area, you hope to encourage other areas to start villages too. So Clintonville will be opening a village. You spoke earlier about rural communities. There's one hopefully starting in Marysville.
Okay.
So we really tried to provide support to each other.
And Jane Lynett, what about that community center piece to this?
Well, I think it's a wonderful model. That one of the things that we're looking for with livable communities is to really make sure there's an opportunity for people to socialize, to have those connections to other people. It's that social element. If you become isolated in your home, then it tends to lead to depression, which leads to other very unfavorable health outcomes. So it's so important to create those social opportunities within a community.
And Katie White, what about that social piece of this?
It's huge. So not only do we have social events, but the great part about a village is it's your neighbors helping neighbors. So if you are a member, most members also volunteer. So perhaps you can't drive, but you can help cook some meals for someone that can take you to the grocery. So all of the volunteering is social connectivity too. And a lot of members join just for that.
And members, they get to know each other.
Of course.
Where do they meet?
Last week we went to the ballet. We go out to lunch. We have member meetings. We set people up in smaller groups. Maybe there's a group that enjoys playing cards. So we sort of facilitate those opportunities, and then people can go with it.
All right. 614-292-8513 or email us at allsides@wosu.org if you have a question or comment. $500 a year, that's a healthy chunk of change.
It is.
Does it vary across, among the different villages? It doesn't have to be the same amount.
It doesn't. And that's the national average for villages. But again, if you're looking at a rural county or maybe somewhere that has really heavy funding, they might be able to reduce that cost. Some villages operate on a barter system. So what you put in, you can get out. I thought that the last caller brought up an interesting issue, which was financial planning. And we've talked about that a little bit earlier on the program, that people aren't necessarily really good at planning for all of this. How do you address that issue? We try to have educational opportunities as well. So our village is really member-driven. It's person-centered. If that is something that comes up, we will absolutely bring in a financial planner. So whatever it is that the members need or want, we will bring that in.
And what do we know about what kind of impact these groups are having? Who's measuring the success of it?
The National Village Network is working with different universities on research, but one of the outcomes they've seen is that it helps individuals live in their home more confidently and longer. So is living at home the best scenario for everyone all the time? No, of course there are needs for assisted livings and skilled nursing, but it gives you that safe and healthy way to live in your home with just as much support as you need.
From either of you, is the issue of people living together, like cohabitating together like we used to before we could afford to buy that first house or get our first apartment on our own? I guess the Golden Girls scenario is what I'm thinking about. Jana, Lynett, is there any sense about that?
Well, I wish my colleague Rodney Harrell was on the line because he's really our housing expert. We have seen some of that happening, and we certainly encourage local government to provide an opportunity for that through the zoning ordinance. There are many places across the United States where that would be simply against the law, and we need to make sure that there are that type of opportunity available to folks, because it is an affordable and often a really wonderful way to have, someone else to socialize with right there on the spot. So it's a real win-win situation a lot of the time.
What are you finding, Katie White?
It's come up in a couple of conversations. We don't personally have any members that are living together, but really I see that as part of the future of the equation. We have these houses and a lot of people don't want to or unable to live on their own. And so I think it would be a good fit.
Richard in Dublin, you're on the air. Hi, Richard.
Hi, thanks so much for the discussion today. I wanted to raise a comment that it seems a bit paradoxical in some ways that people are encouraged to buy their homes during their working years as a method of saving. We talked about the limited amount of savings that are being done other ways. And then they arrive at their retirement years, and they don't then want to sell their homes and liquidate them and use those savings for the retirement. So in terms of our social policy, one, that's a possibility. Shouldn't we be encouraging people to think about using their savings first and then only picking up the tab later if their savings are not adequate?
Jana Leinert?
Well, that's a really wonderful question. I mean, as you were talking, I was thinking you were going in the direction of whether people should be finding the communities that may better meet their needs or homes that better meet their needs with a zero-step entrance, et cetera. And in that case, I would say we need to make sure the communities have those options within the community so that you're not having to leave your social network behind to move to some other location.
Right. Katie White, I mean, are you finding, I suppose you only have 59 members, but I mean, some people, they just out of their league, they just aren't really able to take care of their property anymore the way they want?
The home maintenance is definitely an issue, and especially where we're serving, it is historic neighborhoods, so working through the commission and making sure you're preserving the history piece. But I would say we sort of view villages as a proactive use of your funds. So for $500 a year, it's like a small insurance policy where you're not spending all of your money, but you're doing what you can proactively to continue that healthy aging and keeping your home up, maybe modifying a bit so you can stay there longer.
Okay, Richard, thank you for that call. How do you said it took a couple years to get this up and running. Was it just to become a nonprofit, or was there more to it?
A combination. So you want to make sure you have a strong community buy-in. You want to make sure you have the people that will become members, the people that will become volunteers, raise a little bit of money. But then also, of course, the 501c3 process takes some time.
Do you see, Jana Leinert, people coming together in these ways? It may not be the village, but it be something else. I mean, are they being more activist about how they're growing older?
I think we are going to be seeing more of that. One example where we are seeing it is through our network of age-friendly communities. We have 47 communities now that are part of that network, and we really push that it not be a process taken over by local government, but really be informed by talking with people in the community and getting their insights into what their needs are. And it's revealed a lot of really interesting results. So, for instance, in a community visioning in Wichita, Kansas, the community members came together. There's an older neighborhood. Many of the households were older residents who also took care of grandchildren during the day. And what they determined they most needed was a park where they could bring their grandkids but also go and socialize with other folks their own age. And they created a grandparents' park out of 2 abandoned city lots in the city. The city donated the land. So they have exercise equipment that's tailored to people 50 and older, along with playground for children. So it's just a wonderful intergenerational opportunity. And that idea, I don't think, ever would have surfaced if it hadn't come from older adults in the community themselves.
All right. Well, Jana Leinert, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Jana Leinert, she's an AARP Senior Policy Advisor on Livable Communities, and also Katie White, Executive Director of Village Connections. Thanks for joining us, Katie.
Thank you so much.
We'll put a link on our website to Village Connections if you're interested in learning more about that. Thanks to the All Sides staff, producer Michael DeBonis, Associate Producer Amy Jurovich, Assistant Producer Rachel Quimby, All Sides interns Michael Hepburn, Shahina Sagiri, Hannah Palmer, Abdul Rahman Al-Ruwayshan, with video production by Rich Karsmitsky and Amber Karsmitsky. Thanks again for listening. This is All Sides with Ann Fisher on 89.7 NPR News.